right, we're out here outside the James A. Haley VA Hospital in Tampa, Florida with Brad Bolden. And first I'm going to show you a couple of signs that Brad has. This one here, asking President Trump to step up and help out. And then this is his issue. Saw you sign over that way. And then we're going to do an interview with Brad and see what he has going on.
All right, how you doing?
Just introduce yourself.
Brad Bolden. As you see by the sign, I'm nearly a 24-year veteran retiree. Good. I'm out here.
Speak loud.
I'm out here protesting today. I'm actually scheduled. I've done this before a few times. I'm actually scheduled for an annual exam today, and because it's the same thing that's going on, I decided instead of keep complying and attending those false appointments or lack of appointments, that I would just make a stand today. My appointments for today are blood labs, of course. There's nurse screening. There's psychology. There's social worker, and then there's kinesiology therapy, something like that. That's pretty much it. This is as a spinal cord injury patient. Annual exam for spinal cord. Spinal cord injuries are so life-threatening, so serious. You're supposed to take a code seriously. Yet, this will be since 2013 that they have reduced my testing to only that. I have all kinds of issues with my spinal cord. I have rare diseases or issues with my spinal cord. And I also have TBI. One of the things they never test, pulmonary, my breathing. I have a collapsed lung. And I had 2 surgeries, but that goes with spinal cord injury. These are requirements for spinal cord testing. That is documented, that the MRIs are all kept, and everything is tested. Yet I'm fighting to get anything other than what they're saying tested.
So my understanding is they're limiting your appointments or diagnosis to the things that you mentioned at the very beginning, the social work and stuff like that. Have you ever had, I know you're with the Spinal Cord Injury Center, have you ever had a spinal cord evaluation?
Not here, prior to getting it. Of course, when my injuries happened in the military. But since I arrived here, those have been the appointments I've had. There's no, let's test, document the extent of a spinal cord injury. There's no even putting it in my record. There's, I also have TBI. The spinal cord in my mid-spine has gotten so serious, there's a diagnosis in my record and with the VA, and it's led to TBI. There's no prosthetics. There's no cardiology, speech therapy. My tongue and my mouth is numb, and it's difficult to talk. I have coughing issues, vision issues, bowel, bladder, pretty much everything that was already documented before I even got out the military. This is why they were retiring me, because the damage was so extensive.
Well, now, you're talking about things that aren't in your record. You had told me earlier that a scheduler was going into your record and entering derogatory things about you in your medical record.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That's correct. And that's part of this exam. Oddly enough, she called and told me you're scheduled for annual. My birth's month, December, so I don't know if they have all these spinal cord injuries that they keep pushing mine to January. But this is what they've always done. But I pretty much asked her, well, what testing am I gonna be given this time? She said the same basic ones I just gave you. With social work, who offers me nothing, and psychology, who says it's adjustment disorder, are based off nothing. Those aren't medical tests. And I explained to her again, look, there's VA directives and the VA handbook, 1176 and 1176.1. This is a care of spinal cord, autoimmune, digestive, bowels, nutrition, orthopedics, neurology. All these things are supposed to be tested annual, and they're in writing. And I'm in the spinal cord center, yet they won't do it. So I told her, look, I'm not coming because you're not doing it until you guys do the testing in accordance with the directives and the law. And she started yelling at me, and pretty much, well, we're going to cancel you the VA and everything else like that. I'm, okay, fine, do that. And about 3 minutes later, she called me back. She basically hung up on me. She called me back, told different change of attitude. Well, Mr. Bolden, we have to get you in, blah, 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 same old nothing. Well, okay. But here's the thing I've learned with every call, even if they don't call you, even if you don't go there, check your record at least once or twice a week. And sure enough, this is a scheduling clerk. She wrote in my record basic that I used profanity. And she's correct. Because when she said those are the only things they examine, I said that's bullshit. That was my profanity.
But by describing it as profanity, it leads you to believe that you were, dropping F-bombs and really cussing like a sailor.
Exactly. And then projection. Of course, if I'm upset, I'm going to talk louder, but I'm talking loud now because I have to, because of the numbness in my throat, my tongue. I get electric shocks on, so I have to talk to just project clearly what I'm saying. So even if I'm upset or not, it's gonna sound, you can make it sound angry, depending on what I'm saying. Oh, McDonald had a farm, or Brad mad, No, I have to talk this way. And she worked in that I was yelling, and finally she decided, she told me she was a vet too, and I calmed down and agreed to the appointments, which I never did. Now, and the thing is, this was signed off on by the nurse supervisor, by the spinal cord chief, Kelvin White. So what purpose are you letting a scheduling clerk write this in my record? Well, it's to show the hostility, it's to show the aggression, it's to say you're crazy.
Well, now, let me jump in here just a second and ask you about something. You had an appointment not too long ago. My understanding is that you went without your cane, and they tried to put in the record that you normally walk with a cane, but today you weren't. Explain that to us. And this is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, that the VA will put little seemingly insignificant things in your record like that, but then when they go to deny you benefits, they go in and they cherry pick these. So explain that to us.
Exactly right. And keep in mind, I had to fight a year since I got here, after I got here, just to be put in a spinal cord center. The day I walked in, I saw the spinal cord doctor, Sharice, I can't think of her name, but anyway, so I won't say it. Anyway, I walked in with this cane here. Actually the VA's cane. I have trouble with the cane because of my grip, so I needed this to kind of change my grip a little bit. I have to switch hands constantly. My legs, my movement disorder, so when I'm moving closely, like walking behind something or close quarters, my legs jerk out. So the cane just helps me keep balance pretty much, keep coordinated where I'm at. So it's preferred that I use that. However, the day I went to that exam, since it was my first VA appointment in the spinal cord center, like I've done with the VA in Charlotte, I had to bring my documents, my records, and they're a lot. So to carry that, I brought this walker.
So they made an issue that you weren't using your cane, but failed to mention that you were using a walker.
Right.
Leading people to the conclusion that you walked in ambulatory fine on your own.
Exactly. Now every time I walk, I'm practicing. I do this in my driveway without the cane, and in my Tai Chi class, open spaces. When I'm walking, I'm practicing because I have to think about it. Okay. So I opened my record from what she said, and like Keith said, the little things that you think are insignificant, or why would they say that? That's crazy. Came back. She wrote in my record, patient normally ambulance with cane, or a single point cane. Then she wrote, not today. Not today. No reference. He has a walker instead. Just. He normally has it, says he normally has cane, but he doesn't have it today.
Which, if you were a raider and just reading that, it would sound like you don't need your cane anymore.
Right.
I hope that came through. If you were a raider, it would lead you to believe that you don't need your cane anymore.
Right. And I could pass the buck off with that, but I can show you a CP exam. They say the same thing. They know I have the cane. They listen to Walker. I also have in my garage have a motorized scooter, but I don't have. But it stays in my garage. I usually go around my neighborhood, and because I don't have a ramp to put it on, because they were denied certain things. You know, I'll give you an example of that. My vehicle. I drove a '96 Chevy Camaro stick shift. When this happened, I got back to Fort Bragg. That's my car that was waiting for me. It was let alone impossible to get in and out of it, but trying to drive it. I would hit the gas and the brake at the same time. It's a clutch. My coordination started being messed up. It set low, so I was having visual issues with it too, and plus the grip and the nerve damage in my arms. So I was having all kind of issues with it. I actually got into an accident in the handicap parking lot at Fort Bragg because I looked in the mirror one day to back out, and I just totally lost my place. Well, at Charlotte, they sent me to driver's testing, and the guy had me drive around pretty much a circle. 4 rights is a circle, right? That's what he pretty much did, a square. And in his car, not mine. I said, okay, my driving was good. I don't know any better. Okay, good, I'm good. So now I started learning, seeing these little notes in my record. He lives alone. He drives a vehicle without assistive devices. Oh, let me look that one up, huh? Okay, and that's what they did. But what they're not telling you is, me, knowing I couldn't drive this, when I saw that they weren't going to help me get help to purchase another vehicle, another requirement in the VA directive, I knew I had to do something because I needed something dependable. I could drive and anything else. So I went, I tested these vehicles, finally found it like a Chevy Tahoe. It was perfect, the height for my vision. It had the cameras, you know, the seating, I could get in and out okay. It was just great. And the gas and brake were spread apart where I can maneuver because I have a problem with range of motion too. So it had these features, the backup camera, things like that. I didn't have to look in the mirror. Well, when they wouldn't help, I still knew I had to do something, so I ended up getting a Chevy Equinox, which I could afford it, I guess, so, but I needed something. That's what I got. So when you look at my record, they say he drives a vehicle without assistive devices. But had they helped me from the start with that Camaro that they knew was dangerous, they would have said, oh, he had to adjust his height in the vehicle. He had to have lumbar support in his seat. He had to have heat support in his seat, pain and muscle spasm. He has to have a rear view camera because looking back in the rear view mirror makes him dizzy. He has to have backup signals because his vision limits his judgment of distance. They would have listed those things. But,
and now all these conditions that cause your daily life to be impacted is from the spinal cord injury you received on active duty.
Exactly.
Okay. When you were on active duty, did the military doctors diagnose you with a spinal cord injury?
Yes.
When you went to other VAs, have they diagnosed you with a spinal cord injury?
Charlotte did the very first day.
Very first day. And then while you were attending the Charlotte VA, did they do the correct annual tests on you for spinal cord and TBI?
Charlotte was different. I wasn't expecting because we're going through the DES process with the board. That also combined with the VA. Well, they both still just refer to my stuff as degenerative disc disease of the neck alone. Both rated everything wrong with me under that cover at 20% alone. That's it. And so when I got to the VA, of course, I brought my walker because it's my first visit. And I'm walking and the nurse, you have spinal cord injury? Well, yeah, I have this. Oh, whoa, don't worry, the doctor, he's good. I walk into his office. You have a spinal cord injury? Yes, I explained to him. And he's looking at the list of what's wrong with me. It's a service-connected list. All I had was degenerative disc of the neck, bad knees, pretty much that was it. It was 50% rating. Nothing about spinal cord, nothing about neurological. But I had my records, and which prompted him, just by seeing me, he looked into the computer. Oh, he said, oh no, you're a spinal cord. I said, well, the Army and VA didn't rate it. He said, that doesn't matter. We know you are. We have to comply. And they did everything. I got a call that afternoon from a social worker, and she was explaining everything. Oh, well, don't worry, it was a big mistake, and we're gonna fix it. Your spinal cord, period. Send me off to different appointments, right? Which driver's testing. I never knew these appointments because I don't know the system. Orthopedics, all these people. I had another, which would be the second comment, looking at what's wrong with me. When I walk in at the diagnosis, how are you even walking? I still didn't understand the gravity of that because I'm that kind of person just pushes, you know. And but they took me and started treating me and making appointments. And one of the first things they did was tell me, you need to go down to the benefits office, and that's what I did. And it seemed like when I went there, and then they sent me to DAV, it was alert. And all of a sudden they called me in for another MRI. Late night, I had to go at 6 in the morning. It was a full MRI of my spine. Here is something. There's a lesion in my neck. C4, C7, tear in my spinal cord. There's searings in my middle spinal cord. There's herniated disc, all 3 levels. There's severe stenosis at lower and upper, C3, C4. This has already been documented X-ray. Their MRI, when they finished the MRI, the gentleman there, the young guy, he looked at me, he said, you mind if I pray for you? I said, no. He knew something. That report came, and there's nothing of this in my health vet records. Nothing of this time period up until late 2013. Actually, my first appointment was March 30th of 2012. Nothing of this. They sent me back in the mail a piece of paper from that MRI saying degenerative disc disease, lower back. That's it.
Whereas everybody from the technician on up, when they saw your MRI results, knew that it was so much more.
Right. 2 operations, 2 surgeries. It was required because the Army, when they caused the injury to my neck, the machine or traction machine, they was treating a whole different thing for the muscles. And they weren't supposed to be back on that machine. So when they did, what the doctor explained is it caused the going up and down motion of it, caused my C4 disc to break. And the machine kept going up and down, so it scratched my spinal cord, C4, C5. And it stayed pinched in there, of course, because they turned the machine on. So it stayed pinched in my spinal cord, and it was ignored up until May of 2007. This incident happened in February 2007.
So let me just ask you this. How does it make you feel that you served your country and you're having to go through all of this to get treatment for injuries you received while on active duty?
You know, I stand out here, I stand up strong and I talk. But there's no preparing anybody for that. There's no preparing when you know what you've done, when you know you fought from day one, from 1988, injuries in your back and your neck and everything else, your knees and your fractured toes and you go to war. You go to the Gulf War. You don't complain. You pick up your bags and go. You go and you train your soldiers and you go out and you do everything they're doing and you don't complain. You go. And you go in for therapy because you hurt your back or you fell or something like that, and they treat you for a couple weeks. And they send you right back and you're like, great, thank you. I gave it my all. And
Hold on just a second. That should be a siren for emergencies here at Haley. Veterans need to be treated better. But go ahead, Brad. You were saying?
I said I gave it my all, right? Because I kept pushing him. I didn't expect anything. I didn't do it for anything, but I loved this job. I loved taking care of my soldiers, and this was me. If I was some athlete or played football or basketball, I'd be the toughest SOB in the world with the damage wrong me. And I would like somebody to send my medical diagnosis and everything else to one of these professional doctors and let them see it. They would tell you that this dude is tough as hell. But I never expected anything other than the help I was going to get to keep on enjoying my life. I gave it my all to do my service in country. And I'm not going to say sacrifice because I loved what I did. I chose to do that. But it was part of my service. I lived up and beyond my contract. And all I want them to do was, hey, what's wrong with you, Sergeant Bowden? What's wrong with you, Mr. Bowden? This is what's wrong with you. Okay, this is how you can be helped or can't do anything about that. When they first saw the injury to my spinal cord, the doctor told me, well, even though we operate your spinal cord and it's gonna die down. I mean, it's gonna get worse.
But to have to fight as hard as you've been fighting, that's got to be frustrating. It's got to weigh on you, not only physically but mentally. I know you come out here and protest as much as you can. That's got to be physically taxing on you. Tell us about how it taxes on you or affects you mentally. Mentally or spiritually?
Okay. I was just trying to explain it to someone the other day. Moving, how I operate, how I move. It's like you would take some weights and not put them on your ankle, say 20, 30 pound weights, and you put it on your entire leg, on both legs. You do the same, you take about 10 pound weights, put it on your arms, the whole arm. And you move with that. Walk alone, each step, you're feeling that weight. So sitting down, laying down, that weighs even more. And it's nearly impossible for me to lift them like that. Second of all, the concentration I have just to be conscious of standing, of moving around. I have to be aware of what I'm doing because my feet might decide to be left behind or jerk, but I have to be constant aware of my balance and what I'm doing. So I compare that to you walking around normally and you're, how they say it, patting your head and rubbing your stomach, okay? So let's say you have to walk around doing that. And even if you're doing something else with your hands or anything else, you have to still consciously be aware that you need to be patting your head and rubbing your stomach. Imagine trying to do that all day, every day, and going through the workload and pushing what you have to do. Nothing I do is easy. Everything I do is a push. I do it because I'm determined to do it. I can't do it. I can't do a lot of things. Normally, I struggle just to roll over in bed. But
well, and you're to the point where you have to keep doing it because you're not going to get better. So you should be taken care of.
Right.
You should get the treatment that you deserve.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead and stop here. I want to thank you for your service, and then we're going to do another video here right after this one. That'll be on the site as well, where I want Brad to speak directly to our congressman our elected officials and see what they can do.
Thank you.